Today, I want to talk about why I prefer Poland to Colombia. For this part of my life, I think Poland is a much better fit for me than Colombia. I was very happy for my time there and I learned a lot about life, but I think in general, at this point in my life, the stability of Poland is much more important for me, and I can see myself potentially settling here in the long term. Safety. This is the most important thing for me. Living in Latin America, specifically a place like Colombia, you're always having to watch over your shoulder. In the big cities, everywhere you go, it is not a safe country, no matter what people say online. Having the peace of not having to worry about that, and I really appreciated this once I went to Asia and now that I'm here, just the overall safety of Europe is so good, and not having to worry about your safety removes a lot of mental stress and allows you to focus on other things. I'll just leave my stuff around in the working areas. You can leave computers, my cameras, whatever. People don't touch anything. People don't steal here because the overall culture in Poland is very safe, and there's a lot of just like societal trust. You can walk around at any time of the night. You can have your phone out. You can have your camera out. People don't really steal here like that. Maybe you could make the argument that here in Poland people steal bikes, but when it comes to phones and valuables and stuff like that, that just doesn't really happen. Even though I have a Latin heart and I love Latin culture, I think Polish culture is a lot more familiar to me because it's very similar in how I grew up. They have a lot of those traditional Soviet values still baked into the society, kind of like how Chinese people are, but Poland is a lot more modern, which is very similar to me because I'm Chinese, but I grew up in the US. Talking to Polish people, we share a lot of common attitudes towards sex, towards relationship, towards general like work ethic, cleanliness, just a lot of things I've talked about in many of my videos. And that's why I feel quite comfortable here. Yes, people will say that Polish people are rude or just not very friendly, but I'm like, Chinese people are the exact same way. We are equally not as friendly. We are quite direct. Whereas in Latin America, even though I love that culture so much, I still feel like an outsider. I really appreciate how here in Poland, the women seem to be a lot more relationship minded. In Colombia, the general society is very unfaithful. I'm gonna be honest about it. There are so many love motels everywhere. Colombian people don't seem to value relationship as much, and the single motherhood rate in that country is ridiculous, which causes a general distrust in men. Because of that, there are several generations now where women have not seen fathers in the household. I really like how Polish culture seems to push the nuclear family. There are fathers around everywhere. One of my subscribers left a comment that here in Poland, it has one of the lowest birth rates in Europe. It's interesting to me because walking around on a Sunday, it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like there are kids everywhere. Everybody's having kids. So I'm more of a relationship person. I had my fun in my 20s, but I would much prefer being in something a lot more serious and long term. And I think Poland is definitely a better place to find that than Colombia. There are two-parent households everywhere here. Colombians are a lot more promiscuous, a lot more open to having little short-term flings and hooking up. Polish girls are not like that. I really appreciate that. It's also very easy for Americans to stay here. There are some countries where it is very difficult to get a visa to come here, but as American, thankfully, it's very easy for us to stay here. If you guys want to talk about anything else in regards to Poland or Colombia, if you guys need help with long-term residency here or maybe buying real estate, reach out to me and I will connect you with the right people. I like how Poland is also still low-key. When I first arrived to Colombia, I did feel like it was low-key. Not a lot of people knew about it, but the word is out now. People mainly go there for sexual tourism, unfortunately, because that's all that these other YouTubers seem to portray about that country. So it's attracting some of the worst tourists and expats, and I don't really like it. And because of that, it's led to a huge shift in the price of everything. The real estate market is out of control. Krakow is Poland's most tourist-sized city, but it does generally still feel like more low-key compared to a place like maybe Rome or Spain or London, some of the other popular European cities. I also like how here in Poland, it's just generally a lot more quiet. In Colombia, yes, the people are a lot more free and the party culture is bigger, but people are just super loud and would play music till like 2 in the morning, just reggaeton blasting in the buildings. Here in Poland, you don't really have to experience that as much. Some of the Ukrainians here are generally quite loud and they will blast music and talk super late, but Polish people in general value more order and just quiet areas. That's something that I really appreciate about Polish culture, especially at this point in my life. You know, I'm definitely more of a chill person. I don't really like being in super loud, crazy, chaotic environments. Poland is just a lot more peaceful. Poland is extremely clean. Actually, Colombia was quite clean as well. And in general, I think there's a lot more societal respect, right? I think that one of the bad things about Colombia is that even though the people are super friendly, there seems to be a general distrust in each other, like everybody's trying to cheat you. Whereas here, because there's such a huge emphasis on societal order and safety, it feels like even though the people are not the friendliest, it's not like they're gonna attack you or try to steal from you. Having that peace of mind understand that I'm in a safe society, it's so priceless for me. It's so important, especially after all the bad experiences I've had in Colombia with threats being made against my life and all that other stuff. And this is something that we share as Asians because Asian countries have a huge focus on social order and respect as well. I think there's a very big difference in the expats that you will meet here versus the expats in Colombia as well. Most of the expats here are either here because they're in a long-term relationship with a Polish girl or because they're doing business here or they have a job here. So they're here for, I guess, the right reasons. Whereas it feels, I'm saying this because I've had so many consultations and the primary topic of discussion is women. It seems like most men go to Colombia just for that, for sexual tourism or because they fetishize the women there. Yes, Polish women also do get fetishized, but I wouldn't say that is a main reason for men coming here. There are a lot of bachelor parties in downtown Krakow and, you know, a lot of the girls trying to get men to come to strip clubs and everything, but it seems like that's not the main draw of Poland. Whereas in Colombia, to be honest, the main draws are women, sex, and drugs. The Polish language is very difficult to learn, but thankfully so many people speak English here, especially the younger generation. For the older generation, it's maybe like 50-50 where they speak English, but all the young people here speak English as a second language, even the people from the smaller villages. So it's very easy to live here without having to learn the language, whereas in Colombia, not a lot of people speak English yet. And yes, Spanish is an easy language to learn, but most foreigners that go there won't learn it and still have to kind of struggle to communicate. Europe in general has very good public transportation. Poland is no different. Colombia does have good public transportation in Medellin, but Bogota, the transportation is horrendous. The European lifestyle in general really favors a more walking lifestyle, and you can get almost everywhere through tram or bus, and I really, really love that. And I really love European architecture, right? The way that Europeans design cities just aesthetically is super pleasing. It's just made for everybody to just go out and walk and enjoy the views. In Colombia, there's a lot of really beautiful nature that you can admire, but I wouldn't say that the architecture is really that nice. And even all of the nice architecture is European inspired, whereas here you have the history that comes with all the architecture. But it just, every European city that you go is just always very beautiful. I think that actually adds to the mental health of the people when you walk around and you see all these marvels of buildings everywhere. And just the European lifestyle in general, because it's so safe here and because it's so walkable, it's easy to go out for a few drinks, enjoy some time by the river, just enjoy the night and be able to come home through public transportation or through a boat. Things are a lot more accessible here. I really love the European social experience because in Colombia, yes, you can go to a place and dance, but because it's so unsafe at night, you always kind of have to be on guard. Overall, I have to say that Poland has way better infrastructure than Colombia. I would say though that the infrastructure in Colombia is getting much better, and it is better in Colombia than maybe in a place like Southeast Asia. European infrastructure to me is the best in the world, and even though Poland may not be as developed as some of the other European countries, it's still very, very good here. I like that there are a lot more Asians here compared to in Colombia. In Latin America, surprisingly, for example, there's a lot of Japanese people in Brazil, there's a lot of Koreans in Chile, there's a lot of Chinese people in Peru and Venezuela, but Colombia did not have a lot of Asian people. So I really felt like I stood out. And that was kind of cool in the beginning until I realized that it kind of put a target on my back because I had a public platform. I didn't like getting all that attention in Colombia because of how unsafe it is. Being famous here in Poland may not be so bad because I don't feel unsafe being well known here. So because there's a lot more Asians here, Polish people are quite used to us. So there are a lot of interracial Asian and Polish couples, but there's also an appreciation for Asian food, and there's a lot more Asian restaurants here. And there's also very easy access to Asian ingredients. That is a luxury that I did not get in Colombia. Asian men, we were seen as very exotic in Colombia, and the girls did like us there, but it seems to be very high here in Poland. A lot of the younger generation of Polish girls really like the whole K-pop, K-drama thing, so Asian men are seen as very, very desirable here. I'm obviously taking advantage of that. If you guys want to know why I prefer Colombia over Poland, feel free to watch this video right here. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel.